hit by a landing aircraft while jogging. Episode 3, Stolen Childhood. It's totally handleable when the chick next to you sips her mojito, makes a split-second decision, and walks you down that often mispronounced lane. You stick with this line of conversation because you are well behaved. But mostly you do so because you're waiting for her to leave her childhood memories behind and skip along into adulthood. That's when you hope to slip in like an octopus and get handy. A neon tube from above cast an orange glow on her face. Words senselessly tumbled over in my head. Girl, goddess, neon, inert gas. So you see, mine's not been a very happy one. I said, sorry? Weren't you listening? I was. It's just that I didn't get the fact about 9 being happier than 1. I don't know much about numerology. She exhaled. Her face darkened. With chicks that you meet for the first time in a bar, it's got to be dazzle within seconds or... Sup, dude? The voice came from behind me. A cloud of Calvin Klein descended so dense, my eyes watered. Nikhil Advani. The bird brightened up. She tugged at her neckline, lowering it as a sign of encouragement. Nikhil, Namrata. I had to introduce them. Nikhil and I were tennis buddies, doubles partners actually. And we did a lot of stuff together. So you see, introductions, even if they included a divine chick at a bar, were just a logical extension. When you can trust a guy not to serve into your backside, you know he's got your back. Namrata inched forward. CK1? To guys with any shred of dignity left, this was as good as asking me to shift along the line. She was already taking drags of the dude. Nikhil, observing acceleration, replied, Reminds me of childhood. Ouch! He served right between my shoulder blades and charged the net. My doubles partner had been listening in. Crazy, crazy times, he added. Her teeth shone. Have a drink? How innocent we were back then. Nikhil leaned between Namrata and me and asked the bartender for a mojito. A mojito. Same drink as her. Mine wasn't all that innocent. I stretched my neck over his shoulder. Dignity be damned. You know, I loved catching flies as a child. Nikhil was stealing my childhood. I had done that. This one vacation, my parents took me to Hyderabad to spend some time with an auntie. There was no one my age, so for 2 weeks, all I did was catch flies. Those were my flies. Each and every one of them mine. Oh, poor you. Women, you can never tell. 9 out of 10 women would have cringed thinking about catching flies. But at that point in time, catching flies was the making of a man. This morning, right? Continued Nikhil. I took off for Banjara Lake wearing the brand new slippers my mother had bought me. The neon goddess called for a refill. Her teeth continued to glint. My mouth clamped shut. Treachery and treason. He was not only serving into my backside, he was using my racket to do it. In those days, Banjara Lake was huge and quite swampy. At the edge, where I stood, were 7 gravestones. Sitting on one of them was an old man. He was fishing. I tapped on Nikhil's shoulder to tell him that I was still on court. The way he responded indicated that the game had changed from doubles to singles. Nikhil went on reeling her in. Seeing me, the old man tied some string around the tip of a twig, attached a small rusty hook, and fixed some oily wheat flour as bait. And then Namrata was hooked. Nikhil went on. No fish was going to bite this, but I didn't know. Did I? I went deeper and deeper into the sludge, hoping to change my luck. I was standing almost thigh high when the old dude called me back. I got out. Thank God. And here I was thinking to myself, it was the bloody Banjara Lake, not the Bermuda Triangle. Anyway, I walked home dejectedly. At the bungalow gate stood my mom, drying some clothes. From that point on, everything was a blur. The washing line was twanged at like a banjo, clothes fell off in a scatter, and my mom flew towards me like a sari-clad vampire. Nikhil spun on. She screamed, she shouted, she grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me. And the tiny hook and the wheat blob fell out. I bent down to pick them up. And that's when I realized, that's when I figured out what was happening. My brand new slippers were gone. The muck of Banjara Lake had sucked them in. Nikhil sipped his mojito for effect. And the thrashing began. That's so my childhood, Namrata said. There in the warm glow they were, standing on common ground. And there I was, floating out across Banjara Lake. And Nikhil went on like he owned the court, which he did. But that's not the story. Remember I told you about catching flies? That very afternoon, all of the others went off for a movie. I was left behind as punishment. Namrata played with the neckline of her t-shirt. All afternoon, I caught one fly after another and put them in a small white box. It was summer, so there was no shortage of stock. Left hand, right hand. I was all over them. About evening, my mum came back. Didn't look like she'd liked the movie. She asked me what I'd been doing all afternoon. Her jaw muscles twitched. I said to myself, best be quick, best be upfront. So I said I'd been catching flies. Crack! She slapped me. What? Oh, she thought you were back answering her. Exactly. Over the last few minutes, Nikhil's back had filled out in size so much that it resembled the rock and ice of the Himalayas. Observing a female hand touching lightly upon his shoulder, it was clear the twin peaks beyond agreed. Leave now. Like a Banjara. like a gypsy. So, I left to be continued.